You are likely watching this because you feel a weight that sleep cannot fix. It's a specific type of exhaustion that sets in by noon, the result of 1,000 broken promises you've made to yourself, while trapped in a loop of sudden motivation followed by inevitable collapse. Standard self-help fails because it relies on the presence of passion, but passion is a fickle flame that gusts of wind easily blow out. The moment you face genuine fatigue or a sting of rejection, that emotional fuel vanishes, leaving your strategy in pieces. To break the cycle, you must reframe your mind as a chaotic, failing state. Your fleeting emotions are the unruly citizens currently controlling the kingdom, making demands and dictating your actions based on how they feel in the moment. Solving a crisis of this scale requires moving away from soft encouragement and toward the 16th century political statecraft of Niccolo Machiavelli. He studied the cold mechanics of how a sovereign acquires and maintains power in a world that respects only strength. This title page marks a shift in your strategy. Machiavelli's principles for ruling a nation are blueprints for power that can be directly inverted. You are going to use historical statecraft to govern your own psychological territory. Incremental self-improvement is a flawed tactic because it leaves the same weak version of you in charge of the progress. To actually change, you must execute a hostile takeover of your own mind, systematically destroying the dependent, emotional parts of your old self so a ruler can emerge. Machiavelli's doctrine of information control states that a sovereign must never broadcast their next move. He observed that while everyone sees what you appear to be, almost no one should experience who you really are. Most people sabotage themselves by announcing their goals or posting their progress before they've done a single day of work. This seeks validation for effort not yet exerted, which prematurely releases the internal pressure required to sustain the mission. You must choose to become a ghost instead. This is the strategy of working in total silence, shielding your intent from the world. In the dark, you can correct mistakes without judgment and build strength without the interference of other people's doubts. When you go silent, you create a vacuum that unsettles those around you. The sudden absence of your noise projects power. It signals that you have stopped negotiating with the world and no longer require its attention. This silence is your armor. It transforms discipline from a public performance of vanity into a private, impenetrable fortress where your results speak louder than any announcement ever could. Machiavelli argued that a leader cannot rely on the fickle loyalty of subjects who only follow when they feel like it. Instead, a ruler must weaponize fear and duty to ensure the state functions regardless of the mood of the people. Apply this logic to your internal riots. The urge to sleep in or the impulse to quit are unruly subjects attempting to seize control of the kingdom. You do not negotiate with a riot. You crush it through the imposition of cold mechanical duty. The 3-second rule is your executive order. Your brain is a survival mechanism designed for comfort, not greatness. By forcing the body to move before that 3-second window closes, you bypass the brain's ability to negotiate for safety. This is emotional alchemy. You are taking the lead weight of your current feelings and forcing them to be transmuted into execution. You are training your neural pathways to obey a command rather than a feeling. Over time, you begin to treat internal resistance like the weather. You might look out the window and see a storm, but you do not cancel the mission because of rain. You acknowledge the conditions, put on a coat, and walk anyway. When your internal emotional state no longer dictates your external output, you become a glitch in the matrix of others. You are now mechanically unpredictable and entirely immune to the circumstances that break average men. Machiavelli wrote that a wise prince should rely strictly on what is in his own control, never on what is in the control of others. This requires the weaponization of isolation. You must be willing to sever ties with any influence that does not serve the mission. This includes comfortable social circles that celebrate mediocrity and the weak habit of seeking sympathy when things get difficult. Mastery is found in absolute non-reactivity. When you stop reacting to insults or crises, you remove the emotional buttons others use to manipulate you. Your consistency becomes a weapon because you are now a force that cannot be bargained with. These ruins are a reminder that history's greatest empires fell from internal rot long before an external enemy reached the gates. They lost their discipline and were sedated by luxury. Your standards are the borders that protect your mind from that same decay. By embracing this isolation and removing emotional volatility, you set a new standard of absolute reality. You force the world to either rise to meet your unyielding standards or be left behind in the dust of the progress. To become the person who scares them, you must declare all-out war on your past self. If you do not kill the version of you that made excuses, he will wait for a moment of weakness to drag you back into the loop of failure. This requires holding a psychological funeral for the person you used to be. You are shedding your skin. A painful process that leaves you raw, but it is the only way to emerge as a version of yourself that operates on logic rather than impulse. You are choosing the cold freedom of the wolf on the ridge. In the valley below, the herd is warm, safe, and fed, but they are trapped. You are out in the wind, and you are hungry, but you have chosen the power of the hunt over the comfort of the pen. Machiavelli analyzed how men conquer kingdoms, but the ultimate application of his philosophy is internal. You have built a version of yourself that has seen the abyss and walked through it, a majesty found in the total, terrifying power
of self-conquest.